What happens when a homeless mother's life crosses paths with one of the world's biggest football stars? Imagine sitting on the cold, harsh pavement, struggling with everything life has thrown your way, and then suddenly, a miracle happens. Cristiano Ronaldo notices you. But is his offer of help just a random act of kindness? Or is there something deeper at play? From a chance encounter to an unexpected new life, this is the incredible story of how one man's gesture of kindness changed everything for a mother and her son. You won't believe the twist that awaits them. Want to find out how this shocking journey unfolds? Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe to Epic Story Moments for more heartwarming and jaw-dropping stories like this. It was a cold night. The streets were mostly empty, save for a few late-night commuters catching the last trains home. The train station was quiet, but for one figure sitting just outside it, her shoulders slumped and her face drawn with exhaustion. Amara, a black woman in her 30s, had never imagined that her life would lead to this moment, sitting on the cold cement with nothing but her son Malik beside her. She glanced at Malik, his small face bright but worried, looking up at her with those innocent eyes that still believed in a better world. He was only 6, yet he had already seen too much hardship. His tiny hand gripped hers tightly, as though trying to comfort her despite the bleakness surrounding them. Amara's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. She had lost her job 2 months ago, and despite trying everything she could, nothing seemed to change. Bills piled up. The rent had been overdue for weeks. They had to leave their apartment, and now, they had nowhere to go. The cold air nipped at her skin, but it was the fear of what came next that truly made her shiver. Amara tried not to let Malik see the tears welling up in her eyes. She wanted to be strong for him, but sometimes it felt impossible. She knew he deserved better, a future far brighter than the one she could currently offer him. As the minutes passed, the occasional train sped by, but Amara and Malik remained in the same spot, a quiet corner of the station where they were left largely unnoticed by most people. Then, out of nowhere, the sound of footsteps approached. She looked up, her heart skipping a beat when she saw a figure walking toward them. It was a man in a dark suit, looking like someone coming from an event. His polished shoes clicked on the pavement as he drew closer. Amara's instincts kicked in. Strangers, especially men, weren't to be trusted. She pulled Malik closer, wrapping her arm around him protectively. The man, however, did not stop. Instead, he walked right up to them and paused for a moment, his face softening when he saw the two of them sitting there in the cold. Amara couldn't see his face clearly at first, but the man's voice came to her like a calm, reassuring breeze cutting through the tension in the air. "Are you okay?" His voice was kind, gentle, not the voice of someone judging her, but one that seemed genuinely concerned. Amara narrowed her eyes, skeptical of his motives. "We're fine," she said curtly, not wanting to invite any more questions from a stranger. But the man didn't back away. Instead, he looked past her at Malik, who had let go of his mother's hand to look up at the man with wide, curious eyes. "You look like a strong boy," he said, his smile reaching his eyes. "What's your name?" "Malik," the boy replied shyly, his voice small but full of hope. "I'm Cristiano," the man said, crouching down to Malik's eye level, his demeanor calm and genuine. He extended a hand toward the little boy, and Malik hesitated only for a second before shaking it. Amara watched them both, her protective instincts still on high alert. There was something about this man, something in the way he interacted with Malik, that seemed different. He wasn't just offering empty words of sympathy. There was sincerity in his actions. After a brief moment, the man, Cristiano, stood up straight and glanced at Amara. "I didn't mean to intrude," he said, his voice soft. I saw you here, and I wanted to make sure you're all right. It's cold out, and you shouldn't have to be out here alone." Amara didn't answer immediately. Her mind raced as she weighed her options. Trusting strangers wasn't something she did often, especially not after everything that had happened to her over the past year. Yet, there was something in Cristiano's eyes that made her pause. She sighed, shaking her head slightly. "I lost my job a while ago," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We're just trying to make it through. Things haven't been easy, and I don't know how much longer we can keep doing this." Cristiano's expression softened further, and he didn't look away from her, not once. I understand more than you might think, he said quietly. Amara's lips trembled as she fought to hold back the tears that were threatening to fall. She didn't want to cry in front of a stranger, especially not in front of her son, but her heart felt heavy. The struggles, the sacrifices, and the constant worry for Malik's future were all beginning to weigh on her. "What's your plan?" Cristiano asked gently, not in a probing way but more like someone genuinely concerned. Amara's gaze flickered downward. "I don't know," she whispered. "I thought we might catch a train to the shelter tomorrow, but I'm not even sure if they'll have space for us." Cristiano stood there silently for a moment, then looked at the boy, then back at Amara. There was no judgment in his eyes, only understanding. "You shouldn't have to worry about that tonight," he said firmly. "Tell you what, I'm going to make sure you're not left out here in the cold. Come with me. I'll get you both a place to stay tonight. You can figure out the rest tomorrow." Amara looked up at him, surprised by his offer. "I don't know if I can accept that," she said, feeling the weight of pride and fear warring inside her. "I wouldn't offer if I didn't mean it," Cristiano replied, his tone unwavering. "Sometimes we all need a little help. And tonight, I'm offering mine. Let's get you both somewhere warm, where you don't have to worry about anything for a while." The sincerity in his voice was undeniable, and for the first time in a long while, Amara felt a small flicker of hope ignite inside her. Maybe, just maybe, there were still kind people left in the world. With that, she nodded slowly, her voice shaky but filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. Cristiano smiled, the kindness in his eyes never wavering. "It's nothing. Come on, let's get you both somewhere safe." And with that, the first steps toward a new chapter began, not just for Amara and Malik, but for all those who were willing to extend their hands and help those in need. Sometimes, one small act of kindness could change everything. Cristiano Ronaldo's warm smile didn't waver as he stood there, watching Amara wrestle with her internal conflict. Her initial skepticism was understandable, and he could see the hesitation in her eyes. The cold, harsh reality of the situation had forced her into a corner, and pride, the one thing that had helped her survive for so long, was now holding her back from accepting any kind of help. But Cristiano wasn't going to let that stop him from offering a hand when it was needed most. "Look," Cristiano began, his tone gentle but firm. "I can't just leave you both out here in the cold without doing something to help." He paused for a moment, glancing at Malik, who was still clinging to his mother's side, watching the exchange with wide eyes. Cristiano's heart softened. He had his own family, and the thought of a child like Malik being in such a position made him even more determined to offer assistance. Amara shifted uncomfortably on the cold concrete, her pride still holding her back from fully accepting. She had always believed in doing things on her own, fighting through the struggles and hardships without relying on others. But tonight, as she looked at Malik's innocent face and felt the weight of the world pressing down on her, she couldn't deny the desperation creeping in. "I can't take your money," Amara said, her voice trembling slightly, though she fought to keep it steady. "I don't want charity." Cristiano stepped closer, his expression never changing from its genuine kindness. "It's not charity, Amara," he said softly. "It's just help. Sometimes we all need a little help." He paused, then added, "Look, I can't just walk away and leave you both out here like this. I want to make sure you're safe and that you and your son have a warm place to sleep tonight. Please, let me do this for you." Amara hesitated for a moment longer, her pride and self-reliance still warring with the overwhelming exhaustion she felt. But then she looked down at Malik, who was now clutching her arm tightly, his face filled with hope and trust. That look from her son broke through the last of her resistance. She couldn't keep refusing help when it was so clearly needed. "All right," Amara finally relented, her voice soft but tinged with uncertainty. "But this is a one-time thing. I'll pay you back when I can." Cristiano's smile widened, and he nodded reassuringly. "No need to worry about that. Just focus on getting back on your feet. We'll take care of the rest." He pulled out his phone and made a quick call to his assistant, instructing them to arrange a hotel room nearby for the night. His assistant was quick, as always, and within minutes, a reservation was secured. Cristiano turned back to Amara, who still looked slightly unsure, but her shoulders had relaxed a little, the weight of the night finally lifting. Everything's taken care of, he said. You and Malik are going to have a warm bed tonight. Let me walk you to the car. My assistant will handle the check-in for you. Amara nodded, her eyes still uncertain, but her voice filled with gratitude. Thank you, she whispered. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything, Cristiano replied kindly. Just take care of yourself and your son. As they walked together toward the car, Amara couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. There was gratitude, of course, but also a sense of disbelief. Here she was, a mother struggling to get by, and yet a stranger, an incredibly famous and wealthy man, was offering her help without any expectations. It didn't make sense to her, yet it was happening. The short walk to the car was quiet, but Amara's mind was racing. She thought about how many times she'd been let down, how many doors had slammed in her face when she tried to ask for help. It was rare, almost unheard of, for someone to offer help without wanting something in return. But Cristiano had shown her a different side of the world. He hadn't come with any strings attached, just a simple desire to help someone in need. When they arrived at the car, Cristiano handed Amara an envelope containing enough money for food, a warm place to stay, and for any immediate needs. It was more than she had expected, and though she felt the familiar pang of pride, she didn't protest. The reality of her situation left her with little choice. Here, Cristiano said, his voice calm and reassuring. Take this for tonight, and let me know if you need anything else. Amara took the envelope, feeling the weight of it in her hands. It wasn't just money, it was an opportunity, a chance for a fresh start. As they said their goodbyes, Cristiano offered a few final words of encouragement. You're a strong woman, Amara. You've got what it takes to get through this. Don't forget that. Amara nodded, her heart swelling with emotion. Thank you, she said again, her voice thick with gratitude. I'll never forget this. Cristiano gave her one last smile before driving off, leaving Amara standing on the curb, a little lighter, a little less burdened. She could feel the warmth of the hotel room waiting for her, but more than that, she could feel the weight of hope returning to her chest. As she walked toward the hotel with Malik by her side, she couldn't help but reflect on the unexpected kindness she had received. She wasn't sure where the road would take her, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she wasn't walking it alone. The morning sun filtered softly through the curtains of the small hotel room where Amara and Malik had spent the night. It was a quiet, calm start to what felt like an unfamiliar new day, one filled with uncertainty, but also a growing sense of possibility. Amara sat at the edge of the bed, her mind still whirling from the events of the previous night. The warmth of the bed and the peace of the room were a luxury she hadn't known in a long time. It wasn't just the comfort of the space, it was the feeling of safety, the relief of knowing that for once, she and Malik weren't fighting just to survive. As Amara sipped her coffee, still processing everything, there was a knock at the door. Her heart skipped a beat, uncertain who it could be. She opened the door cautiously and found none other than Cristiano Ronaldo standing in the hallway, his ever-present smile lighting up the space. Good morning, Cristiano greeted her warmly, his voice gentle and calm. I hope you both slept well. Amara blinked in surprise, trying to gather her composure. We did. Thank you for everything. Cristiano smiled, his eyes filled with understanding. I just wanted to check in, make sure you're okay. You mentioned some of your struggles last night, and I wanted to offer a chance for us to talk more, if you're open to it. Amara hesitated, still a little overwhelmed by his continued kindness. It wasn't just about the hotel room or the money, those things were nice, but this was different. He seemed genuinely interested in her story, and in what she had been through. She could feel his sincerity, and it was rare enough to make her want to believe in it. Okay, she replied softly, inviting him into the room. We can talk. They sat down at the small table by the window, where the morning light bathed the room in a soft glow. Cristiano wasted no time getting to the heart of the matter. Amara, he began, his voice gentle but serious, I know you've been through a lot. But I also know that you're a fighter. You've got a strength inside of you that most people never even realize they have. And I want to help you find a way to put that strength to work. Tell me, what are your dreams? Amara was taken aback by the question. It wasn't something she'd been asked in a long time, if ever. In a world where survival was often the only priority, dreams seemed a luxury. But she couldn't help it. Something in Cristiano's eyes made her feel safe enough to open up. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I've always just focused on getting by, taking care of Malik. My dream was to make sure he has a better life than I did, but I don't know how to make that happen. I've been stuck in a cycle for so long." Cristiano nodded, his expression thoughtful. He leaned forward slightly, showing her that he was listening intently. "What if I told you that I know people who can help? People who believe in empowering women like you, who believe in giving strong, resilient individuals a platform to succeed?" Amara looked at him in confusion, unsure of what he meant. "What do you mean?" "Well," Cristiano continued, "I fund a women's empowerment initiative. We work with women who are determined to create a better future for themselves and their families. We give them the tools, resources, and support they need to get back on their feet and build the life they want. I think you have the potential to be part of that." Amara's heart raced as she listened. She had never considered that someone would see potential in her, much less offer her an opportunity like this. She had spent so long simply trying to survive that the idea of actually thriving seemed too distant to be real. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "I never imagined someone like you would offer me this kind of chance." Cristiano smiled, his eyes kind and steady. "You don't need to say anything. Just think about it. The initiative has openings for people who are ready to work hard, who want to make a real difference. You could be one of those women, Amara." Before Amara could respond, her phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, still processing everything, and was stunned to see that the caller ID read Women's Empowerment Initiative. She felt her hands tremble as she answered the call. "Hello. Hi, is this Amara?" a warm, professional voice asked on the other end. "Yes, this is Amara," she replied, still a bit breathless. "This is Sarah from the Women's Empowerment Initiative. I'm calling to let you know that we've reviewed your application, and we'd love to offer you a position with our team. We believe in your resilience and dedication, and we think you'd be a perfect fit for our program." Amara blinked in shock, her heart pounding. "Wait, what? You're offering me a job?" "Yes," Sarah said with a smile in her voice. "We have a position available in our community outreach program. You'd be working alongside other women to help build stronger communities. We can't wait to have you on board." Tears welled in Amara's eyes as she looked at Cristiano, her mind struggling to process what was happening. This was the moment she had never expected, the moment when everything changed. I don't know what to say," Amara murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "Say yes," Cristiano said, his smile full of encouragement. "This is your new beginning." Amara nodded, barely able to find her voice. Yes, I'd love to join." After hanging up, Amara sat in stunned silence for a moment. She could hardly believe it. Just a day ago, she had been sitting outside a train station, unsure of how she was going to survive. And now, thanks to Cristiano's belief in her, she had a job offer, a chance to start over. As the reality of the situation began to settle in, Amara turned to Cristiano. "Thank you," she said softly, her gratitude overflowing. "You've given me a chance I never thought I'd have. I can't thank you enough." Cristiano shook his head, his expression full of warmth. "You've earned it, Amara. All you needed was someone to believe in you. Now go and make the most of it." But the surprises weren't over yet. As Amara absorbed this life-changing moment, Malik, who had been quietly listening to the conversation, looked up at Cristiano with awe in his eyes. "You're Cristiano Ronaldo, right?" Malik asked hesitantly. Cristiano chuckled softly, kneeling down to meet Malik's gaze. "That's me." Malik's face lit up with excitement. "I want to be a footballer like you." Cristiano's heart warmed at the young boy's enthusiasm. He reached out, placing a hand on Malik's shoulder. "You've got the heart of a champion, Malik. Keep believing in your dreams, and who knows? One day, you might be playing football just like me." The words seemed to ignite a spark in Malik's eyes, and for the first time, Amara could see a glimmer of hope in her son's face. Cristiano had not only changed her life, he had sparked a new dream in Malik's heart. As they said their goodbyes, Amara and Malik walked away from that hotel room with a newfound sense of possibility. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel so daunting. The door to their new life had been opened, and it was up to them to walk through it. Amara sat at her desk in the bright, welcoming office of the Women's Empowerment Initiative, her fingers hovering over the keyboard as she worked on a report for a new community outreach project. She had only been with the organization for a few months, but already, it felt like a new chapter in her life, one that was full of opportunity and purpose. Every morning, she woke up excited to get to work, knowing that she was making a difference in her own life and in the lives of others. The transition hadn't been easy. There had been days when Amara felt overwhelmed, as though she was still stuck in the cycle of struggles she had known for so long. But every time those doubts crept in, she thought back to that night outside the train station, the moment when Ronaldo had seen her and offered her a lifeline. His belief in her had been the spark she needed to push forward, and she had refused to let it go to waste. Her phone buzzed, pulling her out of her thoughts. She glanced at the screen and saw Ronaldo's name lighting up. Smiling to herself, she quickly answered the call. "Hello," she said, her voice warm and familiar with the man who had become an unlikely but steadfast mentor in her life. "Amara, how are you?" Cristiano's voice came through the phone, calm and reassuring. "I just wanted to check in and see how things are going at work." Amara's smile widened. "Things are going great. I'm really settling in, and I feel like I'm making a difference here. There are some challenges, of course, but I'm learning so much every day." "I'm proud of you," Ronaldo said, and Amara could hear the sincerity in his words. "I knew you had it in you. You're a natural leader, and it's clear that your heart is in the right place. Keep pushing forward." Amara felt a surge of gratitude for his constant support. "Thank you, Cristiano. It means a lot to me, especially hearing it from you. You've already done so much for me." There was a pause before Ronaldo spoke again. "I'm glad I could help. You deserve all of this. But I want you to keep going, keep working hard, because you have the power to inspire others. Don't forget about that." Amara nodded even though he couldn't see her. "I won't forget. I promise." As the conversation ended and Amara returned to her work, she felt more motivated than ever. Ronaldo's words stayed with her throughout the day, reminding her of her own strength and the impact she could make. She wasn't just working for herself anymore. She was working for the women who needed someone to believe in them, just as Cristiano had believed in her. Her dedication didn't go unnoticed. Over the next few months, Amara was entrusted with more responsibilities at work, eventually being promoted to a leadership position within the organization. She helped guide new women through the program, offering mentorship and advice, and she began spearheading community projects that focused on empowering single mothers, giving them the resources they needed to succeed. Amara had become an integral part of the Women's Empowerment Initiative, and her colleagues admired her resilience, her work ethic, and her passion for giving back. She often thought about her own journey, about the long, difficult nights spent struggling to make ends meet, about the moments when she thought she wouldn't make it, and how far she had come since that fateful night when Ronaldo had walked into her life. But perhaps the most profound change was not in her career, it was in Malik. After enrolling in the local football academy sponsored by Ronaldo, Malik had found a new sense of purpose. His confidence blossomed as he spent his days practicing on the field, learning discipline, teamwork, and leadership. He had always loved football, but now he had a real opportunity to pursue his dream. Every time he scored a goal or made a key play, he thought of Ronaldo, the man who had inspired him to believe in his own potential. Amara watched as Malik grew, his passion for the game igniting a fire within him. He had already started dreaming of one day playing professionally, just like Ronaldo. He would often come home after training, his face flushed with excitement as he shared his goals with Amara, telling her about the techniques he was learning and how much he was improving. "Mom, I think I'm getting really good at this," Malik would say with a grin, his eyes sparkling. "One day, I'll be out there playing with the pros. Just wait." Amara couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for her son, for the way he had found something that gave him hope and purpose. She had always wanted the best for him, and now, thanks to Ronaldo's generosity, Malik had the chance to follow his dreams. But Amara didn't just want Malik to thrive. She wanted to make sure that other women and children in situations like hers had the same opportunities. Inspired by her own journey, She began speaking at community events, sharing her story with other women who were struggling. She talked about the power of perseverance, of refusing to give up, even when the odds seemed impossible. "I know how it feels to be stuck," she would say to the women gathered in front of her. "I know what it's like to feel like you'll never get out of the cycle of poverty. But I'm here to tell you that it's possible to change. If I can do it, so can you." Amara's story resonated deeply with the women she spoke to. They saw in her the same strength and determination that had driven them to keep going, no matter how tough life had been. Slowly, she began to build a community of women who supported one another, lifting each other up and offering encouragement. Amara's life had transformed in ways she never thought possible. She was no longer the woman sitting on a street corner, struggling to survive. She was now a beacon of hope for others, a living testament to the power of resilience, generosity, and the willingness to accept help when it was offered. And through it all, Ronaldo remained a constant source of support. He checked in on her regularly, always offering advice, encouragement, and most importantly, his belief in her. As Amara stood at the front of a local community event, speaking to a group of women about the importance of never giving up, she couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude. Her journey had come full circle. Thanks to Cristiano Ronaldo's kindness and her own hard work, Amara had not only changed her life but had started to change the lives of others as well. "Remember," she said, looking out at the sea of women before her, "you are stronger than you think. You are capable of achieving greatness. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." And as she spoke those words, she knew that she wasn't just inspiring others. She was inspiring herself too. Her story wasn't over, it was only just beginning. Amara stood in front of a group of women, her voice calm yet firm as she shared her story. The room was filled with faces that reflected the struggles she once knew all too well. Women who had experienced hardship, abandonment, and loss, women who felt trapped in circumstances that seemed impossible to escape. But as Amara spoke, she saw something shift in their eyes. A flicker of hope, a glimpse of belief that things could be different. "I know what it feels like to have nothing," she began, her words carrying the weight of her own experience. "I've been there, feeling like I was invisible, like I didn't matter. But I want you to know this, you are not invisible. Your story isn't over. You have the power to change it." She had never imagined herself standing in front of a group like this, offering guidance and encouragement. Only a few months ago, she had been lost, homeless, struggling to care for her son, feeling like the world had forgotten her. Now, she was the one showing others that change was possible. It was a position she never took for granted, a role she wore with humility and gratitude. After that life-changing night when Cristiano Ronaldo had offered her help, Amara had been determined to pay it forward. She knew how important it was to have someone believe in you when you couldn't believe in yourself. Ronaldo had done that for her, and now it was her turn to extend the same kindness to others. In the weeks following her new job at the Women's Empowerment Initiative, Amara began volunteering at local shelters. She spent her free time speaking with women who were experiencing homelessness, offering them not just advice but genuine empathy as someone who understood their pain. "I know it feels like the world is against you," she would tell them, "but it's not. There are people who care, people who want to help you rise above your situation." She found herself drawn to single mothers in particular, women who, like her, carried the weight of both raising children and surviving in a harsh world. Amara became a mentor to many of these women, teaching them life skills, offering emotional support, and helping them find ways to provide for their families. The first time she mentored a young mother named Tasha, Amara saw herself in her. Tasha had a son the same age as Malik and was struggling to make ends meet. She was working 2 jobs but barely able to keep a roof over their heads. After speaking with Amara, Tasha felt a renewed sense of hope. "I didn't think I could do this," Tasha confessed after their first meeting. "But you're proof that it's possible. Maybe I can make a better life for my son too." Amara's heart swelled with pride. This was the change she had wanted to see in the world, the kind of ripple effect that could start with one person's story and spread far beyond. Inspired by her work, Amara and Ronaldo began discussing the idea of creating a charity together. They wanted to establish a foundation dedicated to helping women like Amara. women who had faced adversity but had the strength to rise above it. The charity would focus on offering job training, mentorship, and resources for single mothers and homeless women, giving them the tools to transform their lives. It didn't take long for the foundation to take shape. Ronaldo's name and generosity lent the initiative immediate credibility, but Amara's passion and first-hand experience made it even more powerful. Together, they set out to create a program that would not only help women escape poverty but would also equip them with the skills and confidence to build brighter futures for themselves and their families. Amara poured her heart into the charity, spending countless hours organizing events, fundraising, and networking. She reached out to local businesses for donations and sought partnerships with larger corporations to expand their impact. Slowly, the ripple of kindness they had started began to grow. Women who had once felt forgotten and abandoned were now being given the resources and support they needed to thrive. The charity became a lifeline for many, offering them the chance to rebuild their lives and create a new path forward. As Amara stood at the podium at a charity event one evening, looking out at the crowd of supporters, she realized how far she had come. From the woman sitting outside the train station with nowhere to turn to the leader of a nonprofit that was helping change lives, she had come a long way. And it was all thanks to one simple act of kindness from a man who believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. But while Amara's life had transformed, she knew that her work was far from done. There was still so much more to be done for the women and families who were struggling, and she was determined to continue helping them. She was driven not by a desire for recognition, but by the deep knowledge that she could make a difference. And she would. Malik, too, had experienced a transformation. Thanks to Ronaldo's sponsorship, he had been enrolled in a prestigious football academy, where he had the chance to develop his skills and pursue his dreams of becoming a professional player. The academy provided not only football training but also academic support, and Malik excelled in both areas. He had grown more disciplined, focused, and motivated, always keeping his eye on the goal. One day, he hoped to follow in Ronaldo's footsteps. The pride Amara felt for her son was overwhelming. He had gone from a boy who was uncertain about his future to someone who now had a clear vision and the tools to make it a reality. He had a bright future ahead of him, and she would be there to support him every step of the way. One afternoon, Amara received a call from Ronaldo. It had been a while since they had spoken in person, and he had been busy with his own projects, but she was always grateful for the occasional check-ins. "How's everything going?" Ronaldo asked, his voice warm and sincere. "How's the charity going?" "It's going great, Cristiano," Amara replied, her voice filled with pride. "We've already helped so many women, and I'm so grateful for everything you've done to make this possible. I want to give back in any way I can." "That's what I love about you, Amara," Ronaldo said. "You've come so far and now you're giving back to others. That's the real impact." Amara smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the man who had believed in her from the beginning. "I wouldn't be here without your help, Cristiano. Thank you for everything." As the conversation ended, Amara felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that her journey wasn't just about her. It was about helping others find their way, just as she had found hers. The ripple effect of kindness had begun with one small act, but now it was spreading, changing lives in ways she had never imagined. And for Amara, that was the most rewarding part of all. Amara sat in her small, cozy apartment, a soft smile playing on her lips as she gazed out the window. It was a peaceful morning, and the sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow on everything around her. For the first time in years, she felt calm. Her life, which had once been defined by uncertainty and hardship, had become a testament to resilience, hope, and the power of kindness. She ran her fingers over the papers on the desk in front of her, the documents for her new charity initiative. She had come a long way from the homeless woman sitting outside the train station, lost in despair and doubt. Now, she was the proud leader of a nonprofit organization that helped women just like her. Women who were struggling, but who had the potential to rebuild their lives. Every day, Amara took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought her here. Her thoughts inevitably returned to that fateful night when Cristiano Ronaldo had found her on the streets, offering not just a helping hand, but a lifeline. It felt like a dream, one so surreal that sometimes Amara would pinch herself to remind herself that it was real. The kindness he had shown her had completely altered the course of her life. It had inspired her to become the kind of person who would go on to help others in the same way. Her first months at the Women's Empowerment Initiative had been transformative, not just in terms of her career, but in terms of her personal growth. Amara had started out unsure of her place in the world, doubting her abilities, questioning whether she had the strength to make a real difference. But slowly, as she worked with women who were overcoming their own challenges, Amara had discovered her voice, her confidence, and a deep passion for making a lasting impact. The charity she had started, with Ronaldo's support, was thriving. They had already helped hundreds of women, offering them mentorship, job training, and the resources to lift themselves out of poverty. But more than that, the charity was about giving women the belief that they mattered, that their voices deserved to be heard, and that they could rewrite their own stories. Amara couldn't help but marvel at how far she had come. It had been such a short time since she was sitting in a cold, dark corner of the station, unable to see a way forward. Now, she was not just a survivor, but a leader. The ripple effect of kindness had changed her life, and it was now changing the lives of countless other women. Her mind shifted to Malik, her son, who was growing up faster than she could keep up with. He had always been her reason for pushing forward, her reason for not giving up. Now he was flourishing. Thanks to Ronaldo's sponsorship, Malik had received the opportunity of a lifetime, enrollment at a prestigious football academy. His passion for the sport had been evident from a young age, but with the support he now had, he was excelling beyond anyone's expectations. Malik had changed too. His confidence was sky-high, his discipline stronger than ever, and his dreams clearer. When he wasn't at practice, he was studying and improving his skills, knowing that this was his shot at a future he once only dreamed of. Amara had always known her son was special, but now he had the resources to truly shine. One evening, after a long day of work at the charity, Amara sat down with Malik at their kitchen table. He was finishing his homework, his brow furrowed in concentration as he scribbled down notes. "Mom," he said suddenly, looking up from his work, "I just want to say thank you to Ronaldo. I know I wouldn't be where I am without him." Amara smiled softly, her heart swelling with pride. "You've worked hard to get where you are, Malik. But it's nice to know that there are people out there who believe in you, just like I do. I don't know what I'd have done if I didn't have the chance to go to the academy," Malik continued. "I want to make the most of it. I want to play professionally one day, just like Ronaldo." Amara's eyes shone with emotion. "I know you will, Malik. I've always known you had the potential to do anything you set your mind to." The conversation was a simple one, but it was filled with unspoken gratitude, a gratitude that transcended words. Ronaldo's generosity had not only changed Amara's life, but it had given her son the chance to chase his dreams. He no longer had to wonder about his future. He had a clear path ahead of him, and Amara would be there every step of the way, cheering him on. Later that evening, Amara picked up her phone and scrolled through her messages. She received a message from Ronaldo, one that she looked forward to reading each time. "Hey Amara, just wanted to check in. How's everything going with the charity? And how's Malik? Hope he's doing well with the academy." Amara smiled as she read the message. Ronaldo had not forgotten her, nor had he forgotten Malik. Despite his busy schedule, he made sure to keep in touch, to show that he truly cared. She quickly typed her response. "Everything's going great, Cristiano. The charity is doing well, and Malik is thriving at the academy. He says thanks for everything you've done for him. You've changed our lives in ways we could never fully express." She paused before adding, "Thank you for everything. You've shown us what kindness really means." As she sent the message, she thought about how much their lives had changed in such a short time. All it had taken was one simple act of kindness from a stranger, one man who had chosen to see beyond the surface, who had reached out to help when it was most needed. That one act had set off a chain of events that had transformed their entire world. Amara's phone buzzed with a reply almost immediately. "I'm just happy to see you both doing well," Ronaldo's message read. "You've worked hard for this, and I'm proud of both of you. Keep pushing forward." Amara felt a tear slip down her cheek as she read his words. She wiped it away quickly, not wanting to show any sign of weakness. But in that moment, she realized just how far they had come. They had not just survived, they had thrived. And it all started with one act of kindness. As Amara looked at the stars outside her window, she thought about the future. There were still challenges to face, but for the first time in a long time, she felt confident. Her son was on his way to greatness, and she was helping others along the way. She was no longer a victim of her circumstances. She was a leader, a beacon of hope, and a testament to the power of kindness. And as she closed her eyes that night, she knew one thing for sure: kindness had a ripple effect, and it was one that would continue to change lives for years to come.